We live in a culture that worships effort. From the time we're children, we're told, work harder, push further, grind longer, and you'll get there. And while persistence has its place, there is a hidden truth we rarely stop to see. Sometimes, effort doesn't open the door, Mike, and it locks it. Think about it. Have you ever squeezed your fist so tightly around something you wanted only to feel it slip further away? The harder you chased it, the more it evaded you? That's not a lack of worth. That's not the universe rejecting you. It's the natural consequence of force. Effort at the wrong frequency creates resistance. You can row the boat with all your might, but if the current flows the other way, you'll never reach the shore. And here's the cost. When we live in that state of constant strain, we block the very energy that could carry us. We wear ourselves down, we burn out, and worst of all, we forget that our true power doesn't come from sweat alone. It comes from alignment. Imagine trying to tune a radio. You twist the dial frantically, spinning left and right, hoping to land on the right station. Your effort is intense, but the sound is still static. Then suddenly you slow down. You breathe. You listen. With the lightest touch, the frequency clicks into place. The music emerges clear and undeniable. That's how the quantum field works. That's how reality shifts. Not with violence, but with harmony. Here's what most people miss. Striving comes from fear. We think, if I don't try hard enough, I'll fail. If I don't control it, it won't happen. So we exhaust ourselves in an endless performance, chasing approval, chasing results, chasing proof of our worth. But that desperation sends a signal: I don't trust. I don't believe. I don't know who I am without the hustle. And reality responds to that energy. It doesn't matter what you're saying with your words. What you're broadcasting with your being is lack. You can say, I want abundance, but if you are sweating in panic, the signal you send is, I fear I'll never have enough. And the universe echoes back exactly what you broadcast. The real cost of trying too hard is not just exhaustion, it's disconnection. Disconnection from trust. Disconnection from the flow. Disconnection from the effortless power that is your birthright. So here is the invitation. Stop gripping so tightly. Stop proving. Stop clawing at life as though it owes you something. Instead, pause. Breathe. Remember that the seed grows not because it strains, but because it surrenders to the soil, the water, the sun. Growth is coded into its being. And just like that seed, growth is already coded into yours. When you learn to release effort as your master, you free yourself to become a co-creator with reality itself. And that is the doorway to quantum shifts. Here's the paradox most people never see. The very thing we're taught to rely on, effort, hustle, constant striving, is often the exact thing that blocks the quantum leap we're begging for. It sounds counterintuitive, almost offensive to our conditioning, but it's true. Force collapses possibility. The quantum field, the space where infinite potential lives, doesn't respond to strain, it responds to resonance. Think about how light works. Light waves don't collide to prove their strength. They align, they merge, they amplify one another. When waves harmonize, their power multiplies effortlessly. But when they clash, they cancel each other out. That's what our frantic effort does, and it collides with the field. We send mixed signals. I trust, but I'm terrified. I'm abundant, but I'm desperate. I believe, but I can't stop forcing. The result? Interference, static, missed opportunities. You've probably felt it in your own life. You push on a project with all your might, exhausting every angle, only to hit wall after wall. Then one day, maybe out of sheer fatigue, you step back. You take a walk, clear your mind, maybe even laugh about it, and suddenly the answer arrives. Effort couldn't birth it, but openness did. That's the paradox. The less you force, the more reality rearranges itself to meet you. Here's why. The field of possibility is delicate. It's like water. Try to grab it too tightly and it slips away. But cup your hands gently and it fills them. Effort says, I don't trust the current, I must push against it. Surrender says, I trust the current, I'll let it carry me. One blocks, the other flows. This doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. That's the misunderstanding. True surrender is not laziness, it's precision. It's the difference between swinging a hammer wildly at a wall and tapping the exact pressure point that brings the whole structure down. One wastes energy, the other channels it with grace. The paradox teaches us that presence is more powerful than panic, that alignment is stronger than aggression. You cannot force a flower to bloom by pulling at its petals. You nurture the soil, you give it light, you water it consistently, and then you allow. And in that allowance, the miracle unfolds. So ask yourself, where are you trying so hard that you're actually pushing what you want further away? Where has effort become resistance? These are the places where you're breaking the field instead of aligning with it. When you stop forcing, when you align instead of attack, you enter the dimension where breakthroughs happen. That's when synchronicity shows up. That's when doors open you didn't even know existed. That's when reality bends. Not because you muscled it, but because you matched it. That is the paradox. The moment you no longer need to force, you become the kind of presence that makes forcing unnecessary. So often we call it ambition. We call it drive. We tell ourselves, I'm just being disciplined. I'm just committed. I'm just hungry for success. And yes, ambition can be sacred when it's born of vision. But if we're honest, much of what we label as hustle is nothing more than fear in disguise. Fear is clever. It doesn't always show up as trembling hands or sleepless nights. Sometimes it puts on a suit and tie and calls itself hard work. It whispers, if you don't keep running, they'll catch you. If you don't outwork everyone, you'll fall behind. If you dare to pause, you'll be forgotten. And so we run, we grind, we push ourselves into the ground, believing we are chasing success, when in reality we are being chased by fear. Look around. So many people are exhausted not because their dreams are too big, but because their fears are too loud. They're terrified of being unseen, terrified of failing, terrified of not being enough. And instead of facing that terror directly, they disguise it as productivity. They drown it in long nights at the office, in endless tasks, in the constant need to prove. But here's the truth. Fear-based hustle doesn't create expansion, it creates contraction. It doesn't open doors, it slams them shut. Why? Because the signal you send is frantic, unstable, desperate, and reality mirrors that energy back to you. You attract more struggle, more exhaustion, more situations where your worth feels like it's always on trial. Contrast that with action rooted in love, in trust, in vision. Love-based action feels different. It may still require long hours, but the energy underneath is expansive, not constricted. There's creativity, flow, even joy in the work. You're no longer proving, you're expressing. You're no longer running from fear, you're walking with purpose. Here's the danger of fear masquerading as hustle. It convinces you that exhaustion is noble, that burnout is a badge of honor, that the only way to earn your worth is to bleed for it. But the world doesn't need more drained souls dragging themselves to the finish line. The world needs people lit up from the inside, creating from vision instead of fear. So pause for a moment and ask yourself, is my hustle born of vision, or is it born of fear? Be honest, because if it's fear, you're not really hustling toward your dream. You're hustling away from your wound. And wounds never heal by running from them. They heal when you stop, turn around, and face them. The moment you strip fear of its disguise, everything changes. You no longer need to overwork to prove your worth. You no longer need to exhaust yourself to earn your place. You begin to see that your power doesn't come from escaping fear. It comes from transcending it. And when that shift happens, your hustle is no longer frantic. It becomes sacred. That's when effort turns into expression. That's when doing turns into being. And that's when you stop running from fear and start walking with power. For most of us, the word surrender feels like defeat. We imagine waving a white flag, giving up, admitting we've lost. Our culture tells us to fight harder, push longer, and never let go. But here's the revelation that flips everything upside down. Surrender is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. Think about it. Weakness is clinging. Weakness is gripping so tightly to control that your knuckles bleed. Weakness is exhausting yourself in the illusion that if you don't hold the universe together, it will fall apart. Strength is knowing when to release. Strength is trusting the larger currents that carry life forward. Strength is saying, I am aligned with something greater and I will let it guide me. Surrender is not about abandoning effort. It's about abandoning resistance. It's about letting go of the frantic need to control outcomes that are beyond your scope. When you surrender, you are not saying, I give up. You are saying, I trust the intelligence of life more than I trust my panic. And that shift changes everything. Look closely. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history happened at the moment of surrender. The artist who finally stopped obsessing over perfection and let inspiration flow. The inventor who stopped wrestling with the problem and let the answer surface in silence. The person who released the toxic relationship and created space for true love to walk in. Surrender is the posture of alignment. It says, I don't need to fight life. I need to partner with it. And in that partnership, your power is multiplied. So remember this: surrender is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is courage. It is the refusal to be ruled by fear. And when you surrender, you don't fall apart. You fall into place. Intention is powerful, but by itself, it's not enough. You can write down your goals, speak affirmations, and visualize all day long. But if your inner state contradicts your intention, the signal is scrambled. The field doesn't respond to words on paper. It responds to the frequency you carry. And the bridge between desire and manifestation is presence. Think about it this way: intention is the arrow, presence is the bow. An arrow without a bow just falls to the ground. But when anchored in presence, your intention launches with force, clarity, and direction. That's why so many people feel stuck. They're aiming arrows of desire with no power behind them. They're speaking one thing but vibrating another. Presence is magnetic. When you are fully here, not replaying yesterday, not obsessing about tomorrow, but rooted in this breath, this heartbeat, this moment, you radiate a clarity that rearranges reality. People feel it. Circumstances shift around it. Opportunities are drawn toward it. Presence sharpens intention until it becomes irresistible. Let's be real. Most of us scatter our energy. We say we want abundance, but we stew and worry about bills. We declare we want love, but we dwell on old heartbreak. We claim we want peace, but we feed on noise and distraction. That split energy weakens our intention. It's like trying to tune two different radio stations at once. All you hear is static. But when intention and presence align, the static dissolves. You become a clear channel. Your energy stops leaking into doubt, regret, and distraction. Everything you desire is condensed into a single unified signal. And that's when the field responds, not slowly, not hesitantly, but immediately, with synchronicity and flow. Here's a practice to try. Instead of obsessing over how your desire will come to pass, anchor yourself in presence. Take a moment. Feel your breath. Notice your body. Drop into stillness. From that stillness, revisit your intention. Speak it, hold it, imagine it. Now your words are no longer empty. They are charged with presence. That energy is what magnetizes reality. This is not about pretending life is perfect. It's about standing in your presence even when life is chaotic. It's about saying, yes, storms may rage, but I remain centered. I remain aligned. I remain present. That steadiness is what makes your intention unshakable. It turns desire into destiny. So remember, the most powerful intention is not shouted into the universe with desperation. It's whispered from a place of deep presence. It doesn't beg. It commands. It doesn't chase. It attracts. It doesn't struggle. It resonates. When you learn to align intention with radiant presence, you stop hoping reality will bend to your will. Instead, you become the kind of presence reality bends toward naturally. We often believe transformation has to be dramatic. We wait for lightning bolts, overnight success, or some monumental breakthrough that changes everything in an instant. But the truth is far more subtle and far more powerful. The quantum field doesn't require grand gestures. It amplifies the smallest shifts. A single thought, a single breath, a single choice can create ripples that move mountains. Think of it like a compass. If you shift the needle by even 1 degree, at first it looks like nothing. But travel far enough, and that 1 degree shift leads you to a completely different destination. In the same way, the tiniest inner recalibration, a thought reframed, a fear released, a belief surrendered, sets off a chain reaction that eventually rewrites the entire map of your life. Here's the mistake most people make. They underestimate the invisible. Because the change doesn't look big on the outside, they dismiss it. They say that can't possibly matter. It's too small. But in the quantum field, the invisible always comes first. Matter follows energy. The inner comes before the outer. That's why a tiny shift inside you can create tidal waves outside you. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone who always says, "I'll never have enough." Every time they repeat that belief, they broadcast scarcity into the field. But the moment they shift that inner script to, "I trust there's more than enough for me," something unlocks. At first, it's just words. But those words create new feelings. Those feelings inspire new actions. Those actions draw new opportunities. And before long, what began as a single inner shift has rewritten the outer story completely. This is why daily practice matters. One breath taken in awareness. One moment of gratitude. One choice to pause before reacting. These tiny shifts aren't trivial, they're seismic. They are the ripples that grow into waves. Waves that eventually reshape the shorelines of your life. It's like throwing a pebble into a still pond. At first, the pebble seems insignificant, but the ripples expand outward endlessly, touching the entire surface. In the same way, your smallest inner decisions ripple outward through the fabric of reality, touching people, circumstances, and events you can't even see yet. So stop waiting for the big break. Stop telling yourself change only counts if it's dramatic. Start noticing the subtle. Start honoring the microscopic victories. The shift in attitude, the moment of peace, the instant you chose faith over fear. Because those tiny shifts compound, they layer upon one another, and over time they create quantum leaps. Remember this. Transformation rarely begins with fireworks. It begins with a whisper, a single thought reimagined, a single step taken differently, a single yes where you used to say no. And if you honor those whispers, they will grow louder until they echo across the universe. That's the secret. Massive change is nothing more than the accumulation of tiny inner shifts, each one rippling outward until reality has no choice but to rearrange itself around you. The greatest limitation you face is not the obstacles outside of you. It's the identity you carry within you. As long as you see yourself only as the doer, the one who must grind, control, and hold everything together, you'll always live beneath your true potential. But when you rewrite your identity from doer to source, everything changes. The doer lives in survival mode. The doer wakes up every day believing, it's all on me. If I don't push hard enough, nothing will happen. If I don't carry the weight of the world, it will all collapse. That mindset creates constant pressure, endless exhaustion, and a life where miracles feel impossible. Because when you're only a doer, you cut yourself off from the greater flow that wants to move through you. But here's the truth. You were never meant to be just the doer. You are the channel, the vessel, the source through which infinite possibility expresses itself. You don't create miracles by muscling reality into shape. You allow them by becoming the space through which they can arrive. Think about electricity. The lamp doesn't strain to create light. It doesn't clench and sweat and force the bulb to glow. Its only job is to stay connected to the current. The power is already there. The light shines the moment the connection is made. You are no different. When you stop identifying as the lamp trying to generate its own energy, and instead remember you are connected to the source itself, your life begins to illuminate effortlessly. This identity shift is the foundation of all quantum change. Because when you see yourself as source, you stop asking, "Can I make this happen?" and start asking, "What wants to flow through me?" You stop measuring your worth by output and start measuring it by alignment. You stop living as though life is against you and start realizing life is moving through you. Here's where most people get stuck. They confuse humility with smallness. They think, who am I to carry this kind of power? But real humility isn't denying your light. It's surrendering the illusion that the light belongs to you. It doesn't, it flows through you. And the more you allow it, the brighter it shines. So pause and ask yourself, do you wake up each day as the exhausted doer or as the open channel? Do you spend your energy trying to force outcomes, or do you allow yourself to be the instrument through which outcomes are composed? When you shift your identity from doer to source, you stop clinging to control. You stop chasing validation. You stop living like a worker grinding in the dark, and you start living like a lighthouse standing still yet guiding ships across the ocean. That is your true identity. Not the doer, but the source. And once you embody it, effort dissolves, flow begins, and the extraordinary becomes your new ordinary. Transformation doesn't happen in theory. It doesn't matter how many books you read, how many affirmations you repeat, or how much knowledge you collect. If it stays in your head, it remains abstract. Real change begins when truth drops from concept into embodiment. Your body is not just a vessel. It is the portal through which quantum shifts become visible in your life. We often forget this. We treat the body like a machine we drag around, while our real work happens in the mind. But the body is not separate from spirit. It is the stage where your beliefs, emotions, and energy play out. If your body is tense, closed, and contracted, it doesn't matter what positive words you're speaking. You're still broadcasting resistance. But when your body softens, expands, and breathes, you become a clear signal for change. Think about it. When you're anxious, your shoulders tighten, your chest collapses, your breath shortens. That posture sends a message to the field. I am unsafe. I am small. I am surviving. And life mirrors that back to you. But when you stand tall, when you breathe deeply, when you ground your feet and open your chest, your body broadcasts a new message. I am ready. I am open. I am powerful. And reality responds. This is why embodiment practices are essential. Meditation is powerful, yes, but it's not enough to sit and think new thoughts. You must feel them in your flesh. You must let your body rehearse the future you desire. Want to live in abundance? Then practice walking with shoulders back and head high, as though abundance is already yours. Want to embody peace? Then let your breath slow and expand until calm fills every cell. Want to step into love? Then soften your body's armor and allow yourself to radiate warmth in your gestures, your tone, your presence. The body is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It translates energy into expression. Without embodiment, intention is like music left on sheet paper. Real notes, yes, but silent until an instrument plays them. Your body is that instrument. The music of your soul is only heard when your body begins to play it. Here's the key. Embodiment is not about perfection. It's about practice. It's the daily decision to align your posture, your breath, your movement with the reality you want to live. Every time you do, you strengthen the signal you're sending. And the stronger the signal, the faster the field rearranges. So ask yourself, what is my body rehearsing right now? Is it rehearsing fear, tension, and lack? Or is it rehearsing power, openness, and trust? Because whatever you rehearse in the body becomes the performance of your life. The moment you let truth move from thought into flesh, from idea into posture, you stop talking about change and start living it. And when you embody it, the quantum field has no choice but to mirror it back. The true test of transformation is not what you think, not even what you feel. It's how you move. Your actions reveal whether you're aligned with the quantum shift or still trapped in the old cycle. And here's the truth. Actions born from force drain you, but actions born from flow fuel you. Most people live by force. They push, they grind, they strain. They chase results from a place of fear. Fear of lack, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. And that fear wraps itself around every move they make. Yes, they take action, but it's like swimming upstream. Every stroke feels heavy, every step feels like a burden. And even when they get results, the cost is exhaustion. But when you shift into flow, everything changes. Flow is not laziness. It's alignment. It's when your actions match the frequency of who you've already decided to become. You're no longer scrambling to prove yourself. You're no longer pushing against the current. You're moving with it. Think about an athlete in the zone. They're not thinking, they're not forcing, they're flowing. Every motion is effortless, precise, natural. Or think about a musician lost in the music. They're not calculating notes. They're channeling sound. That's what aligned action feels like. It's not that it's easy because nothing is required. It's easy because the action is fueled by resonance, not resistance. And here's the secret. When you act from flow, your actions carry more weight. One step in alignment is worth more than 100 steps in fear. One conversation spoken from confidence is worth more than 1,000 words spoken from insecurity. Because when you're aligned, your actions are amplified by the field itself. It's like life puts wind at your back. This is why it's so important to check the source of your actions. Ask yourself, am I moving because I trust? Or am I moving because I fear? Am I creating because I'm inspired? Or because I'm desperate? Am I choosing because it feels expansive? Or because I feel cornered? The answer determines the outcome. Living proof means your life becomes the evidence of your inner alignment. People don't believe what you say, they believe what they see radiating from you. When they watch you take action without struggle, when they see you move with clarity and calm conviction, they'll know this person is operating on a different frequency. And here's the beauty. The more you act in flow, the more momentum builds. Flow attracts opportunities. Flow opens doors. Flow connects you to the right people at the right time. Suddenly, what once felt impossible now feels inevitable. So let me leave you with this. Stop trying to prove your worth through forced action. Instead, become living proof through aligned action. Let your life demonstrate what happens when you stop fighting the current and start flowing with it.